things that I have learned whilst being an investor for the last 5 years. Hello, my name's Mark Fitzgerald and welcome to the Property Unleashed. So what have I learned over 200 episodes on the Property Unleashed? Well, first and foremost, it's all about two of the things that I always say everybody has to do in their property investing businesses, and that is be consistent and persistent. Okay? If you're going to start anything, whether it's a property business, a rent-to-rent business, you're going to do serviced accommodation, you're going to start a business in another sector, you have to be consistent and persistent in your approach. You have to have a passion for it and you have to want to do it. So a big thing for me was when I committed to putting the podcast together and the YouTube channel as well, I wanted to be consistent and persistent each and every week. I want to show up for my community, for anybody. Even if one person listens to it and one person watches a video, that'll do for me. I've always said if one person watches or listens and it's my mother, I'd still do this because I love to do it. But the fact of the matter is she doesn't even listen or watch it. So nobody's going to watch it at the end of the day. But it really is about showing up. I want to show up for you guys. I want to show up for you. I want to make sure that I'm making good content that is out there, that is helping people to grow and to better themselves. Why? Because that's what I did when I started out. I listened to the podcast, read the books, watched the YouTube channels, got to know and like certain trainers, certain individuals, certain business people that inspired me, that I want to follow in their footsteps. And that is how you do your due diligence a lot of the time, which is building up the know, like and trust with people. I've also done that in my property investing businesses, with my marketing, with the way that I conduct my business, going out there, making sure that I know what I'm looking for. I know the terms and conditions, if you like, that I have in my business for what I will work with, what I will take on, what I think is a good deal, what is a deal and that suits and fits my strategies. But over 200 podcasts later, and a wealth of YouTube videos, of course, I have successful training programs that people are following now that are getting superb results. We've got a serviced accommodation students now that set a target out of getting 25 units in 12 months. Well, they've done it in about 7 or 8 months. They've got 25 SA units now. So they've smashed those goals. We've got people wanting to get HMO portfolios and start building those up. People are out there now, 2, 3, 4 deals, really building those up now, really ramping those from a standing start and just following our program. So that is a hugely successful side of my businesses and something that is a passion of mine, which is helping others. Of course, I have my successful rent-to-rent businesses, which we're always looking at growing, and we're looking at taking on 3 more units as we speak. We've got the serviced accommodation side of that as well. And of course, we've got our own developments, my own portfolio that I'm always looking to increase and build. And of course, I've been lucky enough to interview some of the big names in property, Simon Zucci, Dan Hill, Kevin Whelan, guys like that. We've had, Josh Keegan, Billy Turruff. We've had some fantastic guests, but realistically, the ones that I really, really love, and that's just to name a few, are the guys just like you and me who are starting out on their journey, that inspire us by telling us their stories. If you go back through my videos, back through the back catalogue on the podcast, you will hear stories of people just starting out, just got my first deal. This is what I had to do to get my first deal. This can be done. And those are the stories that really inspire us to be able to take action. I know they certainly did for myself, which is why I love to do those interviews now, because not only does it still inspire me, it still gives me the chance to celebrate with, you guys at the end of the day, but equally to that, it gives back to the community. It's their way of saying this can be done. And a lot of those guys and girls were in the same positions as well. Another big thing that I've learned over the last, 6 years of working, if you like, for myself, building my own businesses, is about mental health. It's a topic I don't talk much on, but it is also a topic that is easy to neglect. We have to look after ourselves. Okay, a lot of us say you've got to grind, you've got to hustle, you've got to get out there, it's work, 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 work. And we start something new, we're passionate about it, we're thinking to ourselves, I love property, I love getting involved, I'm never going to burn myself out, I'm never going to get bored of this. you have to be careful. Property investing, whether you're doing the rent-to-rent strategy, you're doing serviced accommodation, you're doing flips, you're doing what, is hard work. Just like any business out there, there is no magic pill for this. There is no way of saying, here you go, you just follow that simple instruction there to the T and you'll get the same results as everybody else. Now you can do that, and you should be doing that so that you don't make costly mistakes. But every property is a little bit different. So you cannot say that nobody's going to have any issues that we cannot foresee when they're doing things. And of course, if we're strong in our mental state, in our ability to be able to deal with problems, then we're going to be so much better prepared when it comes to this. Don't get me wrong, building property businesses, getting out there, building wealth, having time freedom, it's fun, it's exciting, it's what it's all about, and I wouldn't swap it for anything right here, right now. I absolutely love what I do. I love the life that I'm building, and so should you. But I always say, make it a passion. You know, a passion that you're really, really sort of inspired by and love to do. Because if you don't, then when times are hard, then you might look at quitting. And of course, if you quit, you fail. And we don't want anybody quitting. We don't want anybody failing. But on top of that, another thing that I have learned to sort of embrace, which I certainly didn't when I started, is failure. Is things will go wrong. Things won't work out the way that you wanted to. I've done business deals with people with the best interests when we've started them up, and that we've just gone our separate ways in the end. Why? Because maybe they were our passions, our visions, the way we wanted to do things just weren't quite aligned, and you end up drifting apart. And of course, in those times, it can be very, very difficult. But I always try and leave on the best of terms. Get yourself out of there and make sure that you're not giving yourself too much of a hard time. But again, you have to embrace that. Embrace the failures, because failures are going to happen. If you're not failing, then you're not moving forward, you're not learning, you're not building. A lot of people say fail fast, fail quickly. There's ways to get around things. You don't want to be losing money. You don't want to be failing all the time because you'll become disillusioned and disheartened. But just remember that when you take stuff on, when you grow your own business, there are going to be problems. Now, one of the things that I always like to say is no problems, only solutions, which is easier said than done when there's a big problem in front of you. But if you can actually look at the problems as opportunities to be able to solve these opportunities and then take the next step and not maybe have these problems again. I think all too often, particularly in new businesses, we can sort of paper over the cracks, if you like, when we've got a problem, rather than getting in there and sorting it out and saying, right, this is the problem, how do we resolve it? Let's make sure we don't get this month on month, year on year. A lot of the times we're just like, well, I think we've got rid of that problem for the minute now. And they always have a way of showing up again and biting us on the bottom, so to speak. So make sure you look at any problems as no problems, only solutions. Talk to people about this. And I think that's the other thing that I would say, all these years now, building up property businesses, the one thing I've always done is kept a good community. And that's something that we always do in our training programs as well, because it's so important to put yourself into the right environment, into the right training programs, into the right community. You want to be in a community of like-minded people, not people that are jealous, not people that, haven't got your best interests at heart. You want to be there with people that care about you and that really do want to see you do well, so that you can seek support with them. And when they're having trouble, you've got no problems just reaching out to them to make sure that they're all good in what they're doing. And if you're in trouble, they should be doing the same. And that's the sort of community that you want to be in. It's not a community that you have to pay for that sort of help, for that sort of response. You want to be able to put yourself, in my cases, I've paid money to go into training products, to go into communities. But once you're in there, you're not expected to pay more and more and more to be a part of a community. I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. People are just paying to be there. I think initially maybe you have got a upfront fees or something like that. You pay to invest in yourself and you get the community there, which is something that we do. Once you're in, you're not paying any more to stay in that community. We want you in that community because we want to help and support you. Loads of other people will put you in a community, and then after a set amount of time, you'll have to continue or pay a monthly fee or something to stay in it. Whether it's right or wrong, that's the way that they do business. That's not the way that we do business. So make sure you're networking, you've got a good network of supportive people for when times are hard. And as I say, when things are hard and you've got loads of problems, don't look at them all as problems, and be prepared to talk about the problems as well, and be honest with yourself, okay? As I say, we've touched on the mental health here, but it really is about giving yourself time and space. As I say, it's easy to get caught up in all of that when we start, but sometimes you just need to have a couple of days off, have a weekend away, forgetting about everything. Meditate, journal, get things out of your head, write them down, and really, really look after you. Meditation is a massive thing. Even if it's just 5 minutes of meditation a day, just breathing exercises, breathing in, breathing out, let all of your thoughts and everything do what they want to do. Don't fight anything. But sometimes that can give you that mental toughness to be able to get out there and get stuck in. And of course, do not neglect your emotions. If you're feeling annoyed and peed off, then go and kick something, go for a walk, go and scream and shout in the woods or something like that. Get it out of you. Don't bottle things up, talk about things. We've all got times where, we'd like to pull our hair out. I wish I had some to pull out, but we've all got times where you want to pull your hair out or something's really annoyed you. Don't bottle it up, but equally try not to let it just explode in emotion. If you do not get it out in a controlled manner, at some point, somewhere along the line, even if it's not even to that person that you actually have fallen out with or that's annoyed you, it will come out in other things. And of course, it can lead to stress, and stress is one of the biggest killers. I used to stress over everything, cash flow, all of this, all of that, stressing. At the end of the day now, I try my best, okay? It's always a work in progress. I'm not perfect at this. We're always working to do better, to be better, but I try to limit the stress that's in my life. Yes, things will happen, but normally we can resolve those. And I like to think that maybe in 7 days' time, this problem will be something that we'll laugh about anyway. Maybe not in the moment, but maybe we will now. So make sure that if the pressure's on, if the stress is on, if you're worried about something, you're using mindfulness, you're using meditation, you're giving yourself time out to recharge, to come back. And normally, if you can remove yourself from that situation, even if it's just for a day, you'll have thought of something. You'll have come up with a solution of how you can overcome the problems that you've got. So you really just need to systematically work your way through those things. And then make sure, and I say this a million times before, I'll say it again, you celebrate the small wins. Why? Because there's more problems probably in anybody's businesses than there are wins. So celebrate the small wins. If you're fully tenanted and all the cash flow's coming through, all the tenants are paying and the properties are, celebrate that. Have a little celebration. It doesn't have to be, we're going on a cruise and things, but go out, treat yourself to something that you don't normally do all the time, and make a point of saying, this is because things are going well. And then when things are hard, you wait until you get it back, and you will get it back, and then you celebrate those things as well. Okay? You want to make sure that you hold yourself accountable, that you're not just celebrating any old thing, but if it is a genuine win, you've started a business up, you've got everything compliant, you're ready to rock and roll, you're getting your marketing out there, you're talking to people, that's worth celebrating. I'm terrible for this. I have to push myself to this, but I like to say to myself, if I've had a good week and everything's going well, I'm going to not only treat myself to something, I'll treat the family to something, some sort of surprise. We'll go somewhere or maybe do something that we wouldn't normally do. And it's just really nice to be able to do that. And in my mind, I'm saying I'm doing that now because I've worked so hard this week and I've managed to achieve the things that I wanted to do. So those are a few things that I've sort of learned over the last 5 years that I'm sort of incorporating into my life. And of course, if you've watched the videos or listened to podcasts before, you will have heard a lot of these different segments and things. And it's trying to, incorporate what works for you and moves you forward. And of course, embracing the problems as well as the stress and identifying those things and saying to yourself, at the end of the day, we can solve any problem, we can move ourselves forward. We'll make you a better entrepreneur, we'll make you a better business owner. And that is fundamentally what we're all about. If you need any help with rent to rent, with starting in property, with analysing deals, then check out thepropertyunleashed.com, where we have free tools and resources and training masterclasses there for you to be able to watch, to learn from, to be able to read, and obviously a deal analyzer for you that will help you stack your deals. Go and check that out, Property Unleashed, thepropertyunleashed.com. And you can download it all there. It's all completely free. It's there to help and support you. And of course, then if you want to up the game, if you really want to get yourself into a community of like-minded people to push yourself to the next level, we have the ultimate serviced accommodation business builder, which is all about rent-to-rent, serviced accommodation, management, how to do JVs, how to set yourself up and be a compliant serviced accommodation provider. And of course, we have the rent-to-rent business builder, which is all about HMOs, rent-to-rent, setting up HMOs, the management of them and everything there as well. And we have great communities that you're more than welcome to come and be a part of. And we have a few other training tools and resources. So do check that out. We're always putting new things there. We're always there to help you. So the other thing is, I think, we've gone into the mental health. You look after yourself first. It's a bit like, if you're on the airplane, they always say, put your own oxygen mask on first before you put anybody else's on. Sometimes we're too quick to try and put everybody else's oxygen masks on before we do our own, and that's where things start to slip and we have problems. And that is where you can do some great stuff in 6 months worth of work building up your property business, only to see it all collapse and disappear and then have 18 months of nothing. Why? Because you haven't looked after the most important asset in your business, and that is you. So make sure you put yourself first, you give yourself time. I go on walks every day, whether it's raining, snowing, whatever. Why? Because I like to get out. I like to get my steps in, 10,000 steps a day. I spend a lot of time now in front of computers, doing viewings, having meetings, talking to people. I don't always manage to get the exercise in that I need, so I make sure that I do that, and I do that nice and early. It helps having the dog as well, because it almost forces you to go out and do those things, but I would still do it no matter what. I like to sometimes listen to podcasts, sometimes listen to audiobooks, sometimes I don't listen to anything. I just walk around, and I probably look a bit weird because I'm probably mumbling to myself, talking to myself, and sometimes it's just nice to not do anything, to just look around, listen to the birds and the wind and the trees, and it's very, very, very relaxing. Equally to that, I've also learnt myself, if you're building a business, try and build it for cash flow first in the property world rather than capital growth. Capital growth is great, but we cannot rely on it because we do not know what the market's going to do. We can sort of guess or, have a vision about what the market's going to do and things, but if you're just investing, you're not making any cash flow month on month, week on week, whatever it is, and you're just going for the capital growth, then you could be waiting around for a while. I like to invest for cash flow. I like to know what I've got coming in each and every month is a hefty chunk of cash, and it's going to do my business proud and obviously serve my lifestyle. But equally to that, if we get the capital growth later on, if we're buying it, then that is superb as well. Of course, we're not always looking at selling these assets, selling the properties, so go for cash flow first. If you're looking at buy-to-lets, margins on buy-to-lets are very, very small, particularly now with the interest rates the way they are. So if you're thinking to yourself, I've got a chunk of cash, I'm going to get a buy-to-let, nice and easy, happy days, you're probably going to not make any money. You'll sit on an asset, and that's the old way of doing things and not the best way of doing things. So look at cash flowing strategies that you can use your money on, that you can invest in. Of course, you can buy, you can do rent to rent, you can do purchase lease options. There's loads of different ways, vendor finance, you can look to title split properties and things, but equally on that, look for cash flow. That's what I do, and that's just what I recommend to you. If you've got a great job and you just want to build up the asset base, then that's fine, but I'd still look for cash flow. Why not? So make sure that you're looking to invest in things for cash flow. Make sure you understand that things will go wrong, that there will be problems that we've got to overcome. And of course, one of my old mentors said to me, make business, property investing, in a way, your life, a game. Make it into a game that you want to play and that you want to do well in and win, okay? And that way you can set yourself targets. I don't particularly look at money or cash flow that I've got coming in as a reward, aren't I doing well or anything like that. For me, it's a means to the end of the game. If I'm looking at trying to make myself £10,000 a month, then if I hit that, I've won the game. What's the next level? Well, maybe it's 15, maybe I want 20, maybe I want £25,000 coming in a month. That is the game that I'm playing to try and get to. And then it's just looking at the pieces that you have to put into place to make sure that the game plays in your favor and works for you as well. But it is, when you hit those targets, you celebrate those things. Now, some of you might be a long way off. Some of you might just be starting out. So maybe making £1,000 a month of cash flow coming in is the game that you want to be playing. It certainly was for me when I started. But I like to play games, so I like to set challenges out and use it as different levels. So I always think, well, we start at the bottom, don't we? Level 1. Once we've done level 1, maybe £1,000 coming in. What's level 2? Let's get £2,000 or £3,000 coming in. Once you've got the £3,000 coming in. And I'll never forget when I wanted to replace my corporate wage. When I did that in 6 months, starting from a standing start with the rent-to-rent strategy. And I was all over the place. I had a bit of training and things, but it was all right. It took you to a point, but it didn't show you actually how to build and systemize a business. You were sort of left on your own to fumble and bumble around with that, which is why I like to help people not only find deals, not even get the deals and set them up, but also how to systemize and build and grow and scale a business as well. Because when I started out, I wanted 100 properties, that sort of thing, or 250 properties and stuff. But what you will find is when you get to like a handful or a couple of handfuls, you're making good money. It's almost like, do I actually want that headache of going to that size? Or shall I just keep it like this and enjoy my life? I've still got plenty of cash flow coming through my businesses. So you will change your goals as you go along. But it's a great way to be. But as I say, I remember when I was starting out that, I sort of dreamed of making £10,000 a month. And that was the big dream. And then, it was replacing the wage to start with. Once I'd replaced the wage, I was thinking to myself, do you know what I mean? I can relax then because everything else is profit. And then you start dreaming about the £10,000 and stuff like that a month. Replacing my wage was probably the biggest thing. And the most rewarding and satisfying thing that I had done up to that point. And I really did feel that was really like, wow, I've achieved something here. And I've done this, with my own two hands and got out there and done that. And then you look at the next targets of like making £5,000 a month, £10,000 a month and stuff like that. And I have to say all the other targets now that I've gone up to and hit have never felt as good as that first target of just replacing that sort of corporate wage, of taking voluntary redundancy, of leaving that job, and of getting out there and doing something for myself. And that is what I always say to everybody, should be your first target, if nothing else. Even if you want to stay in your job, replace your wage with a property business that you've built yourself, and it's absolutely amazing. But like I say, I did think when I hit some really big numbers that it's going to be awesome. It'll be the same feeling, and it's never been the same feeling. I've never had the same feeling. I'm not saying I feel flat or I feel demoralized, but enjoy those moments because they are very, very, very special. And of course, last but not least, the biggest thing that I say, and I still do this myself, I still spend thousands and thousands of pounds each year on investing in me, in trying to be the best version of me I can possibly be, whether that's in my actual self-development, in my mindset, whether that's in my businesses, whether that's in new businesses that I'm looking to potentially start or maybe dip into, or buy businesses. All of those sort of things, of course, in property investing as well, staying up there with the markets, making sure that I've got my finger on the pulse and I'm in the right environment to still be able to capitalize on the latest strategies or the strategies that are working in the moment. I always invest in myself. And if somebody ever looks at a training product or something like that and says, that's too expensive, I'm not paying that, then all you're saying to yourself is basically, I'm not worthy to be invested in at that level, okay? Initially, I was very, very against paying for education or anything. I wouldn't have done it. Now, because I've done it, I've followed in others' footsteps, I've learned things for myself that I didn't even think about, that I didn't know about myself, that I'll never stop learning. And I think you should always keep going. You should always keep investing in yourself and keep moving forward. Listen, we have the free tools and resources at thepropertyunleashed.com, so check those out, help yourself to those. This has been a mixed bag. This is episode 200. It might not be episode 200 on YouTube, but this is episode 200 of the podcast. I am absolutely hugely delighted to have reached 200 episodes. Here's to 200 more. I would like to thank you for your support in the last 200 episodes. I would like to thank you for your comments, for the reviews that have been left. If you haven't left a review and you've listened to any one of the episodes and you think to yourself, do you know what, I've really taken some value from this, if you could just spare a couple of minutes to go on whatever portal or platform you listen to it and leave us a 5-star review, that would really, really help us. It helps us reach more people. It helps us grow the podcast and the movement, so to speak, which is, anybody can get out there, anybody can start their property business, anybody can change their lives completely for the better. And that is fundamentally why I put this podcast together. I put this podcast together to try and get other people to believe. Believe was the big thing, because I didn't really have the belief that I could do this. When I was still in my corporate job, I used to be thinking to myself, I want to start a business for myself. I can do this, but I didn't truly believe I could. Okay, so this is why when I started the podcast, when I was successful in my rent-to-rent businesses, it was a case of I've done this and now I believe. I just need to help others now to believe in themselves, to be able to go out there, to be able to successfully build the property businesses and the lives that they desire. And that is what this is all about. This little movement, this community that's growing all the time of fantastic like-minded people is a very, very special place, and it's very dear to my heart. And of course, having your support on my channels means the world to me. So I've rambled on long enough on this episode. I would like to say again a massive, massive, massive thank you to everybody who has listened, everybody who has supported the channel, who has supported my good self. I'm here to help and support you. If you have any questions, then do feel free to reach out to me. Mark Fitzgerald Entrepreneur, all in one for Instagram. That is so that nobody can copy me anymore. Also, I do have a blue tick on my account. So if anybody else reaches out to you for any other reason, it's not me. But Mark Fitzgerald Entrepreneur on Instagram, follow me there. Let me know that you followed me with a message and things, and I'll follow you back. Obviously, I'm on Facebook as well. Just look for the smiley face. And if you have any questions, problems, or anything like that, then do feel free to message me, DM me, ask me any questions. If I can help and point you in the right direction, I will try and do it. 200 episodes, woohoo, happy days. I'm looking forward to the next 200. We've got some fantastic guests coming up. We've got some fantastic episodes, onwards and upwards. You get out there now, make sure that you believe in yourself, that you will take action, that you will get out there, that you will look to grow your property businesses, and just don't leave it too long. The best time to get started is here and now. You take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.